You know what's crazy? Any of you guys heard about this kid, Brilyn Hollyhand? Drop a W in the chat if you guys heard about Brilyn Hollyhand. I'm gonna pull him up really quick. This fucking kid, bro. Like I said, in this world chat, there are real fucking villains. Brilyn Hollyhand. This fucking squirmy ass kid. He's 20 years old. He's a 20-year-old. The day that Charlie Kirk died, the very next day, this nigga was on Fox News talking about he's the new Charlie Kirk. I don't know how he has so much pull to be on Fox News because I looked up his socials. He only has 12,000 followers on YouTube. I wrote this down on my notes. I actually have this on my notes because I was going to talk about this tonight. This nigga has 12,300 followers on YouTube. He has 223,000 followers on Twitter. He has 346,000 followers on IG. He has 206,000 followers on TikTok. But I feel like TikTok, IG, and Twitter those really don't matter that much. You could have hundreds of thousands of followers there. I don't think that gives you pull in the media like that. The 12,000 followers on YouTube is what stands out to me. And I'm like, I don't understand how this kid thinks he's going to become the new Charlie Kirk replacement. So much so that even people that are on the right are calling him out. They're calling him out right now. He says, save it for tonight, bro. Wait, save what for tonight, Super Cent? Super Cent says, I did think how to start this movement without losing an actual politician. He says, if she kept switching up, I'd lose interest. But she needs to come with evidence, bro. He says, you put a lot of work into those notes. Don't blow your load already, bro. No, I think it's a good segue, Super. I think it's a good segue. We were talking about Charlie Kirk, and I think it's a good segue because this kid is trying to replace Charlie Kirk, right? And I don't understand how he intends to replace Charlie Kirk because he only has 12,000 followers on YouTube. The people on the right wing is already calling him out. The National Organization of Right-Wing Youth already disavowed this kid. They said he's a social pariah. They said that he thinks that he's going to buy his way to relevance because apparently his family got all of their money from investing in low-income housing, right? Subsidized by the government. So essentially what that is they built or bought a bunch of housing, like a bunch of apartments. Then they go and apply for a contract with the government, right? To make those section 8? The government pays them and they provide the housing to the government. So they made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. And they're using that money to prop him up, essentially. Brilyn Hollyhand, the teenager hailed as Charlie Kirk's heir apparent. See, this is them pushing it. These guys pay for articles like this. Honestly, I think that if you have enough money, you might actually be able to pull it off, right? If he invests millions of dollars, he might be able to pull it off. It says, if he was nervous, 11-year-old Brilyn Hollyhand did not show it. Confidently welcomed Charlie Kirk to an interview on his YouTube channel with a subscriber count of just 7. How does it even make any sense? You're much further ahead of the curve than I was, Kirk joked in a seemingly disbelief at the maturity of his young interviewer back in 2017. So you're way ahead of the game. Honestly, this kid was probably prepped and groomed. Let's keep it honest. He was probably prepped and groomed because what 7-year-old has a political YouTube channel? What 7-year-old has, he's at 11. What 11-year-old has a political YouTube channel? What 11-year-old has access to Charlie Kirk to even have him on his channel? Now age 19, Mr. Hollyhand is being touted as Kirk's heir apparent after the 31-year-old MAGA podcaster was shot and killed by a single bullet during an appearance at Utah Valley University last week. Mr. Hollyhand, by the way, that's a dumb fucking name, Hollyhand. He sounds like a fake person. Brilyn Hollyhand. Mr. Hollyhand has traveled the length of the country speaking at universities across the US in a Kirk-like fashion, promoting conservative values on campus and rallying the youth to vote. Since his first interview with his mentor 7 years ago, the college student has become one of the most followed young conservative influencers of his generation, amassing around 500,000 followers across his social media platforms. You see, this is a very disingenuous statement. If he had 1 million followers on YouTube, I would say, damn, okay, he has motion. If he had 20,000 followers, if he had 30,000 followers, if he had 50,000 followers, if he had 100,000 followers, if he had 200,000 followers, if he had 500,000 followers, this nigga has 12,000 followers on YouTube. What are we talking about? That's why I said Super Cent, he was groomed. He was groomed. It's one of those kids. Have you ever seen the kids that they groomed to be a pastor? You remember these phenomena where they would have like a kid who was a prodigy, but behind the scenes, his parents were just grooming them to speak like an adult and pretend to be a pastor? That's all this is. This is just stereotypical standard grooming. They get a little kid, they train him to talk a certain way, and then they throw him in front of a camera and dumb people fall for it. Oh, he must be a prodigy.
Mama!
He must be a prodigy. When all along, he's just a child actor, essentially. But then again, most of the media is fake anyway, so what difference does it really make, right? Isabel, thank you for joining the stream. There's a lot of people that you interviewed that you never speak to again. But Charlie and I stayed friends. He's been my mentor. I talked to him up until the morning of his passing, Mr. Hollyhand told the Telegraph. He was that person who cheered me on and I could go to for advice. He was that person who cheered me on and I could go to for advice. And we were just there for each other. In the hours after Charlie's murder, grassroots Republicans began to ask who, if anyone, could replace the void left in the conservative media bubble. The right person will need to echo Kirk's slick communication skills and understanding of Generation Z, something Mr. Hollyhand grasped from a youthful age, a young age. Here's the interview, I guess. Or a little bit.
I got like, you're much further ahead of the curve than I was. I got started when I was like 14. So you're way ahead of the game. Turning Point USA, we're the nation's largest young conservative libertarian organization on 1,300 college and high school campuses now across the country.
Disgusting and reprehensible. In 5th grade, he founded the Truth Gazette, a conservative political website, and began hosting a podcast a year later. In January 2023, alongside C.J. Pearson, another rising conservative activist, he was appointed co-chair of the Republican National Committee newly created Youth Advisory Council. 1 year later, at the age of just 18, he published his first book, drawn from his interviews with conservative political figures such as Kirk. Everybody's talking about who's the next Charlie Kirk. Who can replace Charlie Kirk? There is no replacement for Charlie Kirk. There's nobody that can fill his shoes, Mr. Hollyhand added, fresh off a talk in South Carolina. I got reminded in that moment of one of the last times I was on campus with Charlie. He did a Q&A and somebody said, Charlie, who is going to take the baton next? Who is next? Charlie looked into the audience and said, you're the next Charlie Kirk. And you are. Okay. I did the same thing to the students in South Carolina, and I said, every single one of you is Charlie Kirk. Mr. Hollyhand said he has faced a wave of death threats since Kirk's assassination. They have become so serious that he is escorted to classes at Auburn University, Alabama, where he now attends college by a security detail. We have to be louder for Charlie, and no, that doesn't mean not being safe. I'll be traveling with a security detail, unfortunately, he said. There's a detail that has to walk with me to classes every day because of the death threats that I've gotten just in the last week. That's the world that we woke up in on Wednesday. How long is this fucking article, bro? This shit is long as fuck. This is a puff piece, by the way. This thing is this article is probably paid by his family or him. So I don't like covering Vosh, but Vosh dropped a pretty interesting video. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm assuming it's gonna be good. I'm just gonna assume it's good. Vosh dropped an interesting video that I wanted to react to for days, and the video just happens to be about this kid. So let's watch a little bit of that really quick here. Let's see what Vosh has to say about it. And, you know, I'm not a Vosh fan by any means, so it'll be interesting. Anyways, while I'm pulling that up, guys, how y'all doing tonight, chat? How y'all niggas doing? It's crazy to say niggas when I just finished covering Charlie Kirk situation. Let's see here. Oh, we got to do Contents Universe video tonight too. Let me pull up this Vosh video really quick. So the title of the video is Charlie Kirk's Replacement Has Spawned by the Vosh Pit.
Life of a right-wing pundit, you know? You have a...
As you guys can see, I only watched 20 seconds of this video, so let's start it over. Let's see what Vosh has to say. The Vosh Pit.
I know you don't do debate stuff, but this Charlie Kirk replacement just got rolled on live TV. Charlie Kirk replacement? I guess that is how it works for these people. That's the life of a right-wing pundit, you know? You have a funeral that's basically just a campaign rally. Trump shows up, forgets who you are, and talks about himself. And then day two, people are like, well, we still need a smarmy, young, like, debate-oriented college campus TPUSA kind of guy. So let's just go with this idiot, you know? No one actually likes you for you. And why would they?
I'm glad that Erica took the spot, man.
Oh, God.
You know, some people were complaining. Nick Fuentes was upset about it, but I think it was the best thing.
So badly in a debate, the moderators.
It could have possibly happened.
I'm curious. Isn't this dipshit the one who was on the private jet where he was talking about how he's going to, like, go to a college campus to explain why you can't have healthcare?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. First of all, I like your suit. I wasn't talking about you in particular. But also, I want to respond to something Brilyn said really quickly, because I was at Trump's Madison Square.
Both of these people look 10 years old to me. I knew it would happen one day. You know that feeling you get when you realize that the people who used to look old to you are now you? I remember I was in elementary
That's fucked up.
and I did something embarrassing on the playground. It was something minor. I think I made like a face or something. Like I was like imagining a fantasy battle in my head, and I made a face that corresponded. I have no idea. It was like 20 years ago. But there was like a middle school kid who saw it, and they made the face back at me, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But I remember in my mind's eye, when I imagined that middle schooler now in my head, they're this like towering adult. Like, oh, that's like a grown-up. And now middle schoolers look like tiny, they look like tadpole eggs, you know? They look like little orphans that
I mean, he's speaking facts. I'm not going to lie. I don't even like Vosh, but I got to agree with him on that point.
It's crazy.
It's called getting older, Vosh.
But now that I'm Unk, all of the...
Oh, I thought that Steven Crowder came back, Supercent. That's what I heard. I heard Steven Crowder came back.
I guess maybe this guy's 18. I have no idea. Maybe he's...
Changed my mind.
No idea. But anyway, I was thinking about this the other day because one of my friends...
Okay, I didn't come to this video to hear a Vosh story time. I only wanted to hear about this squirmy little kid. So let's jump ahead because I'm not going to sit through that whole Vosh story time here. I didn't come to watch. Why can I not click? I didn't come here to watch a Vosh story time.
At least once a week, hopefully more than once a week, and she could be encouraging these policies. She hasn't done that.
She's not Biden.
She's been on an economic task force of the White House. We've seen none of this. She hasn't offered to fix the broken economy that her administration has put in place. But for the second thing on that, the policy that you're evading, that was her very first economic rollout, is this thing.
Oh, he went to Rumble? But Supercent, one could argue that going to Rumble is like leaving. If you went to Rumble or you went to, what's the other platform? I can't even remember the name. It's so irrelevant. Party app. If you went to Rumble or you went to Party app, you might as well just end your career. It's essentially leaving. How many people watch on Rumble, bro? How many people even watch Rumble? I'm not downloading that fucking app.
price gouging when it comes to what we've seen at the gas stations. The last time that was implemented was by Jimmy Carter, who is arguably one of the most failed presidents in history in his time in office. When he did that, we saw long lines at the gas pumps. Our parents and grandparents' generation remembers that. These policies.
This kid is so fucking media prepped. He's been media prepped his entire life. Can you imagine that, chat? Can you imagine your parents were so fucking ideologically driven that they've media prepped you your entire fucking life? Your entire life has been media prepped. Every single word that you say has been planned for you. Homie said Jimmy Carter could be arguably one of the worst presidents of the United States. Like, I know that people say that all the time, but you're about 12 years old, my nigga. Who are you to talk about any president that you haven't experienced firsthand? If you're 12 years old, you can't talk about anyone. You can't even talk about Obama. You were in your dad's nutsack when Obama was president. You can't talk about Obama. You can't talk about Bush. You can't talk about Bill Clinton. You can't talk about Bush Sr. You can't talk about Ronald Reagan. Like, look, I'm much older than this kid, and I don't talk about Bill Clinton. I don't talk about George Bush Jr. or Sr. because I didn't live it. Who the fuck am I to comment on some shit that I didn't live through? If you weren't alive, if you weren't at least a teenager when that president was in power, you can't talk about that shit. You just can't talk about you didn't live it. You're talking out of your ass. Kids should stick to being kids. This kid's life is ruined. He doesn't realize it yet because he's making money and his parents are already rich. So he doesn't really see it, but the damage is done. He's cooked. He probably never had a childhood. Can you imagine not having a childhood? Your childhood was stolen from you. It's kind of sad when you really think about it. His childhood was completely stolen from him by his parents. They propped him up. They paraded him around the country. They media prepped him his whole life. And now he's forced to play this fucking game. He never got to experience anything else, man. It's kind of sad when you really think about it.
Policies that she's trying to put in place have been tried and have been failed. She clearly didn't, she slept through history class because what she's trying to put in place isn't.
I'm sorry, wait, what the f are we talking about? Wasn't the question, what has Donald Trump done to improve the lives of Gen Z people? What are we talking about?
Working again. So you're kind of cherry picking policies that she's.
Is it over for me? Have I been out of the debate space for too long? Now people are arguing and I'm just lost. I'm just.
Yeah, that's child abuse. I would say, Isabel, that if you have a kid and you're preaching politics to your kid, you're indoctrinating your kid, and that's all you're teaching them, you're forcing them to be on a political fucking ideology, it's just as bad as if you're forcing them into a religion. And I consider that child abuse. In my opinion, in my book, that's child abuse.
Coming in being like, well, no, my position is that I'm good and you're evil. I'm on the other side of the fence now. What are we talking about?
Put out there as a response to failed policies, but my response quickly is
child abuse.
Why hasn't she tried to run on those policies when she ran as a presidential candidate in 2020 or when she was elected vice president that same year? It's pretty disappointing to see that.
Wow, that really quickly, I want to ask you one more time. Can you name a single policy? Can you name one single policy? Because you completely didn't answer my question. Is it the tariffs?
I think he did, actually, Adam. I think he named quite a number of policies.
No, he didn't. He didn't answer that question.
He named absolutely none, but he has money. He probably paid this channel to feature him. They're not going to, money talks. That's why I said earlier that a lot of conservatives are upset about this kid, this Brilyn Hollyhand, trying to be the Charlie Kirk replacement. And they said, oh, you can't use money to pay your way to the top. But the truth is, unfortunately, you can. That's the sad part. You can unfortunately pay your way to the top. It is pay to play. So this kid with 12,000 followers, there are other talkers. There are plenty of conservative creators that have way more than 12,000 followers on YouTube, that have way more than 300,000 followers on a few different bum platforms. They could fill Charlie Kirk's space way better than this kid. But do they have the money? Do they have the political pull? Because apparently that's all that matters. If you have the money, if you can pay off enough news reporters. If you can get enough people to write articles, fluff pieces about you, maybe you can pull it off.
I said yesterday, I'm glad it ended up being proven right so quickly. 90% of being good at debate is having a firm position and then noticing when your opponent drifts away from answering to it and then pulling them back on course. And you have to be willing to be rude about it. Like, they can say 1,000 things that are wrong that you want to respond to, but you have to ignore all of it. And you say, well, you just didn't answer my question. That's it. And if they can't answer the question, there's no point in proceeding with the debate. There's no point. You can't engage because they'll keep doing it forever.
Also,
fair.
President
Good point.
Trump has loved to put a small business administration together. He put that together for the first time, and he's made a very clear point that he's going to do that in his second administration.
Well,
Because he's a business.
The problem is those parents are so blinded by their ideology, they don't realize that they've created a one-dimensional person.
He's only referred to tariffs on Chinese exports, and by the
No,
way,
he
price
hasn't.
gouging laws exist in many states across the country.
Maybe you know what? I'm going to open up a TikTok account and so forth.
Also, do you notice something? You guys can't see it. Everybody in this screen a moment ago was smiling. This guy's smiling. She's smiling. This guy before he started talking was smiling. The only person in this communication who's not smiling is this kid here. These people are actors, bro. Everybody knows that if you want to win a debate, you got to show those pearly whites. You got to show those pearly whites, my nigga. If you want to win a debate, you got to show those pearly whites. So everybody here is smiling except for the fucking guy who's debating him. Because it's a fucking show. They're actors. This is not real. They're actors.
I want to follow you.
They're trying to make money. That's all they're trying to do.
I'll give you all the information you need. And you know what? I'll give you a preview right now. No tax on tips.
Wow.
No tax on overtime. And for your mom.
He says, Isabella Moody trying hard to become the next Charlie. You know, Rob, all of these people are trying to do that, and it's kind of disgusting. I'm not even going to lie.
And your daddy, your grandparents.
I appreciate him stepping in because this kid wouldn't provide an answer.
No tax on Social Security. So that's actually when you look at it, President Trump is like Oprah. He's giving something to everyone, including you.
Why didn't he do that his first 4
Look at them smiling. Are you guys catching it? Do you see what I'm trying to say, chat? I don't know if people see what I'm trying to say. The people who are media trained, if you've been media trained, you know that you need to smile. You win the argument just by smiling. Just by staying calm and smiling, you can lie. He's smiling. He's smiling. This nigga's smiling. The only person who's not smiling is the kid who's actually trying to debate them. Ay, 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 bro.
years though? Why didn't he already do that? I can put the same question
because
back
he
to
was
you.
actually
He did do
creating a
tax cuts his first 2
foundation.
years in 2018, the largest tax cut in modern American history.
No, I don't know Isabella Moody. Does she have a YouTube channel, Rob? I'm gonna have to look her up, bro.
That 92% of his advisors turned on him. All of his closest generals turned on him. He lost his vice president. What kind of person builds a foundation that they have to completely restart fresh their next administration? I mean, Brilyn, can you tell me why Mike Pence isn't his VP anymore?
I wonder if, see, I think stuff like this doesn't work because from the perspective of the Republicans, Trump losing his entire cabinet from his first term is him like purging the swamp or whatever, because now he has only loyalists around him as opposed to like a mix of loyalists and Republican Party insiders. I don't think they don't see that as a negative. Like they see it as Trump shedding the fat,
It's
basically.
a feature, not a bug.
I don't know.
I
So,
appreciate
as
you
Vice
asking the
President-
questions, but I'm going to take the reins back since we're the hosts. I have some.
And the female host laughed in his face, bro. That's crazy. He asked a pretty good question and she laughed in his face.
questions here.
Wow, no faith in this kid. Jesus Christ.
Brilyn, in terms of the display we saw on Sunday with Tim Walz and AOC, what do you make of their back and forth on Twitch with
Twitch?
Tim Walz saying that AOC could potentially be the speaker?
Wait, how old is this? This isn't recent at all.
Can he play the clip of the kid in? Oh, it's on his fucking. Oh shit. Okay, it's on his YouTube channel. All I know, chat, is that people fall for the gimmicks time and time again. I don't know why. I guess the majority of people are just stupid, right? That's the truth. The truth is that most people are dumb, and they fall for the gimmicks so easily, so fucking easily. It's actually pretty sad.